Hey, hi guys, and welcome to Gunning to Old Trafford. My name is Tadi and I'm here with Razz, with special guests invited by Ibrahim, of course. And we've been brought on to talk about Fantasy League. What we hope to get out of this segment is just to educate people on the Fantasy Premier League, educate them on tips and tricks, how to play the game. In each game, we could also give our top picks, players to watch out for, captaincy choices, and just a bit of expert advice.
Although we're not experts, but we'll try give you the best advice we can.
That is true. That is true. I'm Tadia. I've been an Arsenal fan since 2005, and this is only my second season of fantasy, though I think I'm doing quite well.
Yeah, doing okay, man.
Doing okay?
Yeah, doing okay. When you listen to the research done, I'm Raz, and I've been in FPL for the past. I'm actually trying to check it out here. 6 seasons. This is the 6th one. Top 1% as well, which depending on the number of people that are there. Now we've got 10 million. That's top 70,000. Well, I'm within the 70,000 mark. And man, I started off as an Arsenal fan because my dad originally was an Arsenal fan. And then growing up, knowing that, okay, this is now football, I switched from Thierry Henry and then started supporting Ronaldo. And that was my Manchester United beginning. I think primary school, early. I don't know, probably, 15 years, 16 plus. Yeah, less than 25, but plus 15.
For our first topic on the Fantasy Premier League segment, I thought coming out of the mid-season break, coming out of the World Cup, maybe we could talk about the wild card option for managers out there.
Yeah.
What is it? How can it benefit us? What's your take on the wild card?
Okay, so starting off, the wild card itself, usually in a season, you have chips. Not sure how many they are, but we have a bench boost, we have a triple captain. We get 2 wild cards in a normal season. And this season, because of the World Cup, obviously, they've decided to give us 3 wild cards, which means if you did use your first one, it's more or less like that one's been reset, and now you have one from now to configure for this game week, and then you will have a 3rd wild card which you can use later on in the season, which I advise is better to use when there's a double game week coming up or a blank game week. Oh, then again, there's also a free hit, which is more like a mini wild card because it only lasts 1 game week. So what we're talking about here is the normal wild card, which is it literally reconfigures your entire team if you want to, depending also on your team value. That sets your budget to know who you can get and who you shouldn't get, or who you can get and who you need to leave out. It's opportunity cost, right?
So let me make sure I'm understanding. From a very layman's perspective, it's like a reset button. I get to pick out a new team based on my budget.
Based on your budget, yeah. It's different from the first one where we all had 100 million, and then we have to choose a team using that 100 million. Now, if you take, for example, my team value, which sits around, give me a second. Ooh, my team value, man, can't find it quickly. Okay, my team value is, I've got squad value, I've got 100.5, sorry, excuse me. And then in the bank, I've got 1.8, which means in total, I've got 101.3, I think. Yeah, 101.3 pounds to use, or million pounds to use. And I'm sure your team will be different, and that's what will.
Yeah.
If we were trying to copy the same wildcard, let's say we just agree that okay, these are the set of players we want. Chances are we can't get the same because if you have less money than me, which means you can't make as many moves as I, or vice versa. So yeah,
I think that's it. It's a good segue to also talking about how people's teams' values end up differing. We're going to talk about it later on when we talk about the squads themselves. But in my first team, the first team I picked this season, I had Saliba.
Yeah.
And my decision for picking him was both emotional and also business, in that I felt Saliba was a very underappreciated player.
Yeah.
Wasn't picked by many managers, particularly out of last season. And I really thought he was going to increase in value. But I didn't stick to my strategy. I sold him, I think, 4 or 5 game weeks in. And since then, he's gained a lot of value, so I've lost out on that. But that's how people end up having different team values, even though we start at the same. Some players become more valuable.
Yeah.
Some players become less valuable
And I actually
obviously.
think that's the beauty of FPL if you're playing it, because you can do all the, like now, we'll probably tell you when we get into the wild card, which we will soon, we'll tell you which players we'd advise you take. But you might find that first game week that player will tank, probably even sit on the bench or come in, get a yellow card, that's -1, and maybe they just got 1 point, or they get taken off early, still 1 point, or something happens and they don't perform. Then you find out later that person's price might plummet because people start selling him because they'll be like, this guy did nothing. Then you find maybe in game week, the second game week, you find that he comes in and actually does worldy, maybe gets 12 points or something like that. Next game week probably does 2 assists or an assist or a goal, and he keeps going up. So I think patience and let FPL, you're not in control of everything. The whole reason for FPL is yes, we do calculate, but it's also based on luck. Sometimes your calculations could be as perfect as they could, but luck
Your
wasn't
guy
on your
is
side.
it's just
that
not your
time.
guy's week.
Yeah,
It's just not his week.
And especially, I think we need to be a bit more lenient on ourselves. People are coming back from the World Cup. Some players were playing game in, game out. They didn't get a winter break, so some managers, depending on that player's importance to the team and how big the team is as well, the number of players they have or options,
Yeah.
they might want to play that player as soon as he touches down, or they can actually afford to
Rest him.
which is what I know for the Burnley game. I think that's the Carabao Cup. United, they're resting most of their senior players. So you might find that's also something we need to consider, that maybe they'll rest them for those cup games. And then when the league comes, which obviously applies to FPL, they will then probably play because they've been rested already. And yeah.
Okay. So what's your approach around the wild card? What's your strategy? How are you thinking of using it?
Obviously, because there's certain players who we have already. There's players definitely I'm not keen on selling. For starts, I'll look at, if I'm looking at my team, I know you guys can't see the screen, but I'll just make it to dictate. Yeah, so you guys can hear what my team comprises of. I'll skip the keepers for now. That's a conversation we're gonna have later. In defense, I'll just talk about the players I know I'm sure I'm not leaving. Like Kieran Trippier. Kieran Trippier is probably I think he's the highest performing defender this season as well. And if you look at his next couple of games, he's got Leicester City, who are not performing well already. He's got Leeds, that one he can easily keep a clean sheet and even assist because he's on set pieces. So with Kieran Trippier, he's going to have the assist potential. He can score a goal and he can keep a clean sheet. The game which I'll be worried, it's just one game out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In the next 7 games, the only scary game here is Arsenal away, literally. The other games, I think he's worth keeping. And also, if you have him already, there's no point in selling because you lose value.
I agree with you there.
So
I agree with you.
That's players who I would be looking to keep. And then there's useless players as well that I had who didn't do anything. Like I'll take, for example, Trent Alexander-Arnold. And it doesn't help that he didn't even play in the World Cup. So he's coming into the World Cup with no form. Coming out of the World Cup, no game time, no form. So I think with him, we might be...
I just want to comment on Trent. He was a very frustrating player for me because he's been part of my squad for most of the season.
Yeah.
And granted, the reason why I had him on was because of last season. He had a fantastic season,
of course,
fantasy-wise. And this season, it's been real hit and miss. And it's frustrating as a manager.
Miss, bro. He's performed what? He got a 17-pointer against Bournemouth.
Yeah.
And he got an 8-pointer against West Ham, and that's the only time he's returned the whole season.
And that's where a lot of the frustration comes out, because he's a quality player. On his best day, he can pull in some serious points. He can really get you ahead in the ranks. But he just hasn't been able to pull 2 or 3 consistent game weeks where he's pulling in the points you need if you want to be a top manager.
Yeah.
Going into the second half of the season, I think he's one of the players I would consider dropping.
Yeah.
And looking at some other options.
Yeah, I think it's with that point. Obviously, Trent costs 7.2. He's in fact, the most expensive defender. Him and Cancelo together. So imagine you sell him. Let's say you didn't have Trippier. Trippier costs 5.5. If you were to sell Trent and bring in Trippier, you are actually, number one, saving a lot of money, which you can reinvest elsewhere, maybe in your striking options or your midfield, or even spruce up your bench. Maybe give yourself a stronger bench option. I think with Trent as well, we need to factor that Liverpool also are not in their best of form. They are
100%,
and they're struggling.
Yeah.
So I think with the Liverpool players, the only people listen, and Jota and Diaz are both out with injury. The only players we really should consider from Liverpool are Darwin and Salah. You're only talking about
Yeah.
the midfield and the striking force. So
Yeah, and Salah is just much like last season. I think he was the most captained throughout the season.
yeah,
He's just a player you can't afford not to have on your team. Whether you actually captain him or not, you can't afford not to have someone like Salah.
Yeah.
He's instrumental in the Liverpool team in a lot of the goals that they score. Whether he's the one who scores or he's contributing to it, you just can't afford not to have him. So that's one of the holds I would have.
Yeah, I think you're right. And he's one of your must-haves. I mean, honestly, if we're talking about your must-haves, Salah is one of them. KDB is one of them. Although with Salah and KDB, you need to make a choice who you're going to get, because if you try to get both of them in your team, which means now in the striking options, you can't have your Harry Kane or your, obviously, the robot himself, Haaland. You can't have that guy. So with Salah and KDB, I think there you'd need to make a choice. If personally I was choosing, I think I would go with Salah. Salah had more rest, and he comes in with form. KDB, the thing is, I would love to pick him, but again, in my team, I already have Haaland, so I would like to keep I want to use my money wisely. There's no point in me picking Haaland and picking KDB all from the same team. If City, which is rarely, have a bad game, that means both my options are gone and a lot of money is in them. So,
And I think you've touched on something important on the players coming out of the World Cup.
yeah.
Some players played more minutes than others, but you can't discount
Quality.
the not just the quality, but the rest that they've had. The players who played less minutes. At the same time, also looking at the players who've been on and been playing a lot. They're still in form. They're still in the game mode, game mentality. I think it's something managers also need to be a bit careful of or think about when they're picking out players going into the second half of the season.
So, asking you, what would you choose? What would you rather have? Would you rather take someone who's had a quality player like Salah, who's had rest throughout the whole World Cup, or another quality player like KDB, who played majority of the World Cup and he's also quality, but obviously didn't get that rest?
Personally, as a manager, I'll be looking at the holes in my team. In defense, who do I have? In midfield, who do I have, and who do I need to bring in? It's for me, it's a balancing game of who do I have and who do I need to bring in.
Right.
If one of the players I need to bring in, I've seen has been performing well, playing some decent minutes in the World Cup, is on good form, I'll be more inclined to bringing him in than someone who's been resting throughout the World Cup period, for me at least.
Right.
Yeah, and yourself?
I mean, Aston Villa is a tricky game, which is Liverpool's next game. And Liverpool's form, guys, it's on and off. I don't know if I really want to put my chips there, but at the same time, City have so many options. KDB can easily sit the next 3 games and probably come in as a cameo. So I think I'd select Salah if that's the debate we're having. I'd choose Salah because obviously I know he's guaranteed to start, and he's out of all the Liverpool players, he's in form. And it's I don't know if it's an easy game, can't really say so. But Aston Villa did they not sack Gerrard?
I believe so.
Yeah, so they're also trying to also find themselves with under Unai Emery. So hey, it could go anywhere, but I think this one I'd put my cash on Salah.
Look, we've talked about Man City players. We've talked about Liverpool guys, Newcastle guys. Let's keep it to gunning to Old Trafford. Arsenal and Man U.
Where do you want to
Who
start?
are you? Let's start with Arsenal.
Yeah.
I talked about Saliba and my disappointment in having lost him. I think he's a bit too expensive for me to bring back on, and I think he's also topped out on his value. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just see how the second half of the season goes. But some real standouts that, some guys who impressed me in the first half of the season were Jesus and Saka and Martinelli as well.
Yeah.
I don't know who you want to start with. Maybe
I think obviously will be, to make it quick, we take out Jesus because he's injured. He's got a knee injury, and I think he's out for like 2-3 months. So he's done.
Yeah, he's done.
The thing about that is another player who then came into form last season, who is going to start playing number 9, is Nketiah. Nketiah is also cheap. So in an event where you want to replace, I don't know who you guys would have had up front. Nketiah is a good option to consider. And I think you could pair him up with Martinelli, to be honest, because Martinelli, in as much as he's leaving with here, number one, his ownership is crazy, 48.2%, which might change obviously when the season restarts. I think with him, because he didn't play too much.
Yeah, that's what I like about the Martinelli option. Actually, he's been resting. He might have some fresh legs. That juxtaposed to other players who are a bit more tired, both mentally and physically. He could be a good pick.
Yeah, I think so. And obviously with No Jesus, Martinelli was the second top scoring guy, from Arsenal. So I think he'd be a good option because he's probably going to be getting the goals from now on. Saka, they need him. They don't have another player like him. But I'm worried that in as much as he could play, he could also be burnt out. So we probably will get a guarantee that he'll start, but he might be burnt out and might not be able to produce as much.
That's a good perspective, but I also feel like he's really matured as a player this season. He's really come into a new form, a new pace.
I actually think he's the best at
Arsenal right now.
The best Arsenal player.
Right now,
who
for
else
me, most improved after Saliba, but
Saliba.
Yeah, after Saliba, I really have been impressed by Saliba, but right now, Saka as a manager is one of those players you seriously need to consider having on your team.
I get you. But look, the price. I get you, and I have Saka. I think we both do.
Yeah,
we
do.
The thing is, the price is he's 8 and Martinelli is 6.8, and especially with the money you're saving on Alexander-Arnold,
Yeah.
I think maybe it's between. Okay, to be honest, I think you'll be choosing either two of them. You need two options. Either you're choosing with me. I would say either it's Nketiah and Saka, or Nketiah Martinelli, or Martinelli and Saka both, and you can sacrifice the Nketiah option. It's up to you and what you feel.
I think budget will play a big factor. Your personal budget as a manager will play a factor there, but there's no doubt you need a combination of the three of those three.
Yeah. Odegaard is cool, but hey, the thing is he doesn't return. He's more of like an engine. Like he's more of a I assist the assister. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, he doesn't draw points.
Yeah,
as a Premier League manager, he's important. But as a fantasy manager, he's not drawing enough points to justify.
So in no way are we saying
he's
he's bad. But as an FPL option, I think he's better.
Yeah.
So with Arsenal, to be honest, we also shouldn't shun Saliba. And Gabriel as well.
I
think with both, with Saliba, I think Gabriel will be nice because his ownership is less. So just on the game where he might score the header,
he's a good differential.
Yeah, he's a good differential. If he scores the header, then you've got an advantage over the other. I don't know.
Other managers.
22% that have Saliba.
Yeah.
So I think it's a nice gamble, and they play the same. Not sure who gets the most bonus points. Probably Saliba. But yeah, so it's those 5 really for me. Arsenal, Saka, Martinelli, Nketiah, definitely someone who's going to be on the radar. If you're a bit skeptical, he's not that expensive, so you can actually buy him 2 game weeks later. Don't need to get him now, just to watch how he gets in and gels with the team and all. But at the same time, I don't want to. Don't be kicking yourself when you miss the train.
Yeah, the wild card is really an opportunity, Donimus. Not that you have to play it now. You do have some range in when you choose to implement it, but I would also recommend managers seriously consider playing it now and be careful about who they bring in and take out. Looking at Man United, maybe you can pull up the team. Who's picked your eye? While you're picking the team, bring up the team. I need to admit, as a manager, I had Rashford in.
Yes,
I captained him a couple of times.
I think we both captained him, didn't we?
Yeah, we probably did. We probably did. And I love him as a player. I love him as a person. He's a real.
I captained Salah. I captained Salah, who did no better.
Yeah, he's maturing. I like his presence on the field. But when I captained him and when I had him in the team, he did not bring in the points I needed at the time. Yeah, which is always frustrating as a FPL manager.
Yeah.
I don't know what your take has been on him.
I agree with what you're saying because I do have him as well. But the difference is now they have no choice but to play Rashford. Sancho isn't going to join the team until he gets back to form, and we don't know when that is. We don't know if he's even going to be back for when the games begin. Martial is back, and Martial has been banging. So I think, to be honest, Rashford, take your chance on him because really, who else are you going to choose? Fernandes, don't think you're going to get the same Fernandes you got in Portugal because he's still trying to figure his himself out in this new United team with an Eriksen who does almost what he does, and Fernandes would have been my choice, and we're talking about form from the World Cup, but I think Rashford is up there. Rashford is probably the best player to choose from United right now. He's got the form, he's been playing, and at the World Cup he was scoring. So
he did quite well.
Yeah, he might have let us down in the last game week, but let's not shun the fact that he was actually performing a couple game weeks ago. I mean, he got an 8-pointer against West Ham, and also, I mean, against funny enough, got 18 points against Arsenal. So
I remember that game week. It was really painful. That I brought him in the next game week. Actually,
so I think you can take a chance on.
From the World Cup within the Man United team, who else stood out to you, if anyone?
The defenders really. You've got Varane back, Martinez back, and that means the defense is going to be stronger. Which means I think with United, to be honest, we're looking more. They're a very on and off team, man. You can't really choose. They're not as solidified we can't be as certain as we are about Arsenal with these guys. That's really, let's look at the pool of players. We've got Rashford, Martial, Fernandes. I don't even want to because he's too expensive for him giving you wishy-washy results.
How much is he right now?
9.8.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Then we look at Eriksen. Eriksen is good, but Eriksen is again Odegaard type of player.
He's instrumental in the team,
but FPL wise,
he doesn't bring enough value to justify him. De Gea has been tempting. Maybe it's also speaking out of the heart, and also your keeper choices. You don't want to spend too much money there, because of the opportunity cost of the field players. But he's just a quality guy. He's a quality keeper.
I hear that.
Your eyes are always drawn to him. He's always tempting.
Definitely.
Not sure I can afford him. But as a manager, I wouldn't blame you if you spent
4.9.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I get you. I think with De Gea, he's good. But if you're going to actually spend money on the defense, I think rather go for a Varane or a Martinez because I think Varane more because he's got heading potential, So if De Gea keeps a clean sheet, which means Varane's kept a clean sheet.
Yeah.
But you've got that chance where Varane can score a header. I mean, didn't he score a header for France? I mean, he's getting his...
But then there's the same conversation we've been having all along, which is minutes played. Well, we'll see how he plays in the final, how he performs. But you can't discount a player coming back from the World Cup who's tired.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is a defender. United don't really have that many options. Maguire, I don't see. Yes, he might have had a cool World Cup, but I don't see him coming back. So I think defense-wise, Martinez and Varane have no choice but to start. And I mean, really, who else are we going to put behind there? So yeah, De Gea is nice, but if you're gonna go defense, I think first consider your defenders.
Yeah.
Before you go to the keeper, because also keeping options, there's quite a bit there. You've got your Pope from Newcastle as well. Yeah. You've got Ward, who's been doing, funny enough, fantastic for a failing Leicester team.
Yeah. Actually, well, maybe we can round up with the chats on the keeper. Ward and Pope. If you interchange them, you would have done fantastically as a manager the first half of the season.
Yeah.
I haven't really looked at anyone else because I was just satisfied with them. Has anyone else picked your eye?
In terms of the keepers?
Yeah. In terms of the keeper
literally,
choices.
Ward and Pope is who I have right now. Let's see if I can actually...
You'd want to focus on teams with strong potential to have a clean game sheet. Alisson, but Liverpool are terrible right now. We were talking about Trent. I think Alisson too expensive, the defense, and Liverpool's defense is not inspiring enough confidence to.
I think Raya from Brentford, he's pretty good. I mean, he gets a couple of saves in.
What are his next few game weeks looking like?
Next few game weeks, he's got Spurs where he will concede. But I think he'll get a couple of save points. He could get 2 save points from there. I mean, Son and Kane shoot for fun. And that other guy, Kulusevski, and the new guy, Bentancur. Those guys shoot for fun, so I'm sure he'll be saving a couple. Unfortunately, he might concede 2, but I think maybe for this game week, you'd be using your alternative keeper. Yeah. And then you start considering him maybe, to be honest, maybe Bournemouth. So I think Raya, maybe we can leave him for the next 3 game weeks. And then you can start considering
to watch out for because the next 4 game weeks are tough. But the ones after that, the 4 after that look quite strong for him. Yeah. Sa from Wolves
He's got some nice fixtures. Yeah, not gonna lie. And Everton are not the best in terms of scoring goals. They're struggling to find their shooting boots. Aston Villa as well would be a nice one. West Ham would probably be a nice one. Yeah. United, guys.
And that is cost. He is quite tempting. Like if you don't have Ward and Pope, I think the strongest next option would be Sa.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right there. You're right there. And I think you're gonna have either one of them, and you can choose between Wood and Sa. Yeah.
I think for the first segment, Razz, we could talk about
Yeah.
FPL and the different players for an hour long.
You wanna? I get you. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, if your fans want us to talk an hour, we'll be happy to talk an hour. But just let us know what you want us to chat about. Is it the more technical aspects, what we look into when we're looking at players? Is it just a team recommendation? We could do a weekly team recommendation, or any other challenges you have with FPL. We're happy to answer.
And honestly, I mean, the fans, I'm sure this podcast is also very engaging with its viewers. So you guys can also tell us who you think your top picks are within the comments and all. Yeah. So, we can also, we're not, like I said in the beginning, we are not experts. We may talk like them, sometimes perform like them. But but you guys can also help us. I mean, you guys could be ranking higher than us as well, and we could take advice from you. And it's just nice to have that community engagement and
definitely
continue.
But thanks so much for having us. Thanks for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me, man.
Good luck in the second season, and good luck to all the managers out there.